A longtime wrestling personality who grew up in Cambridge passed away today. Kevin Sullivan, nicknamed the Taskmaster and the Boston Battler, died. A cause of death has not been revealed, but a GoFundMe set up back in May said that he was involved in a devastating accident. The WWE released a statement calling him a unique and influential figure in sports entertainment history. Sullivan began his career training in Boston during the late 60s. He was 74 years old.
Kevin Francis Sullivan was born on October 26, 1949, and grew up in the South Boston area, a tough working-class neighborhood that shaped his personality and later his ring persona. His family was Irish Catholic, part of a tight-knit Boston community that valued hard work, loyalty, and toughness. Those cultural traits, pride in one's heritage, respect for physical grit, and a rebellious streak against authority would deeply influence Sullivan's worldview and ultimately his wrestling character. South Boston in the 1950s and early 1960s was a hard-edged environment. Brawls, neighborhood pride, and loyalty to the Southie identity were part of daily life. Kids like Sullivan grew up surrounded by strong personalities, church life, and street culture. Many of his childhood friends pursued boxing or football, and Sullivan was no different. Sports became both his outlet and his escape from the neighborhood limits. From a young age, Sullivan was known for his remarkable athletic ability and compact muscular build. Standing only around 5'9", he wasn't the tallest athlete, but he was exceptionally strong for his size and had a relentless work ethic. He excelled in football, wrestling, and track, earning local recognition during his teenage years. He attended Boston College High School, an institution that emphasized both academics and athletics. There, Sullivan distinguished himself as a standout in amateur wrestling and football, developing a taste for competition that was both physical and psychological. Teachers and coaches described him as a natural leader, intense, disciplined, and fiercely competitive. His early exposure to amateur wrestling in high school planted the first seeds of what would become his professional path. Unlike many later pro wrestlers who transitioned from football or powerlifting, Sullivan's foundation was technical. He learned real grappling before stepping into a ring. After high school, Sullivan attended Boston University, where he continued to compete in athletics. Though accounts differ on how long he stayed enrolled, most sources confirm that he was active in both wrestling and bodybuilding circles in the late 1960s. He trained obsessively, often balancing school with time in the gym. It was during this period that he developed a lifelong fascination with strength training and physique culture. The late 1960s saw the rise of bodybuilding icons like Steve Reeves and Reg Park, who influenced a generation of young athletes. Sullivan began entering local bodybuilding competitions and won several regional amateur contests across Massachusetts and New England. His physique, thick, compact, and carved from heavy compound lifting, would later distinguish him from many of his contemporaries in the wrestling world. By 1970, Sullivan had become a respected competitor in the New England bodybuilding scene. He trained alongside local legends at hardcore gyms around Boston, including the early Gold's Gym-style establishments where lifters and wrestlers mingled. This connection to the gym subculture would prove crucial when he later entered professional wrestling. Several trainers and promoters frequented those same gyms in search of talent. Boston had a thriving wrestling scene in the 1960s and early 1970s. Promoters like Tony Santos Sr. ran small promotions, often using high school gyms and armories as venues. Sullivan began attending those shows as a teenager, watching regional heroes like Killer Kowalski, Arnold Skaaland, and Bruno Sammartino when they came to town. Killer Kowalski, in particular, became a major influence. Known for his intelligence, discipline, and scientific approach to wrestling, Kowalski represented the bridge between legitimate athleticism and the theatrical world of professional wrestling. Sullivan admired Kowalski's ability to make violence seem both cerebral and believable. Later, when Sullivan would create his own dark, psychologically complex character, Kowalski's example of controlled chaos would echo through his work. By the late 1960s, Sullivan began quietly pursuing the possibility of entering the wrestling business.
Shadows